masks coming up to us with hand sanitizer, and that kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, we'll move on. So once you guys are seeing the other groups do performances in class, what do you guys think that your group has done differently?
Ours was very ours was different, where it was like very structured, where it had scenes, it was a storyline, where a lot of them were very like abstract and vague, and it's like, and like you have to pay like, well, for ours you have to pay quite a bit of attention, but like ours is like, oh, okay, so this happens, then this happens, then this happens, where the other ones are very like, the other ones were very, very, very abstract, like just kind of, like they still made sense, but it was in like a cool, like,
very expressionistic.
Yeah.
And I found that, like, I think that's probably to do with the fact that the world that we had created was so complex that we really needed to be clear about it.
Yeah.
So the use of having a very structured, you know, beginning, middle, end plot points, and like definitive moments, I think we needed that in order to like properly express our world. Whereas with some of the other pieces, it may not have been so abstract of a world, so they had more wiggle room with coming up with more like abstract choices, I think.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest differences is our piece was just like, we meant to be so ambitious, and it worked out. Like our performance, in my opinion, was really ambitious in terms of everything, like the lighting, the acting on stage, the sound. I mean, not a lot of groups sort of, I mean, we were one of the first groups to try out the sound and see if we can overlap it with our vocal patterns, and it worked out really well, and I think that's one of the things in our group that the ambition really paid off.
So speaking of sounds, why did you guys choose the specific sounds and songs that were in your soundscape?
Okay, so we used 3 tracks, 3 recorded tracks that were actually recorded by artists. One of which I think was the most powerful, I don't know if my other lab mates agree, was when the sound when Bernie was doing his kind of killing dancing sequence. And that sound came from a previous show that I actually worked on, Phantom Wise, and I think the saddest part I experienced during that show is when Edith dies, and my director and my sound designer made it so that they played that song as she was walking off stage, and it was a very, very lasting experience on me. So I thought that this song was just meant to provoke emotion, and that is exactly what we need at this part in the play. So we just happened to combine those, and it worked really, really well.
Yeah, definitely.
It was the violin. The violin got those emotions flowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The idea of like repeating the song every time there was a death too was like a really important part for us.
Ritualistic.
Yeah.
That was important for us.
It's also like it's really intimate, the song, because of the instruments involved, and I mean, you get those that intimate relationship from songs that have lyrics, but I think choosing a song that was really classical kind of sounding and sad, without any vocals in it, really made the killing scenes more intimate and more, something to be feared. So
Yeah, the dance didn't really work without.
Yeah, the dance wouldn't
The
work
dances
without.
kind of looked awkward because I'm not a dancer, but yeah, exactly. When you had the music, it kind of tied everything together.
Yeah, definitely. And adding to that, like the part when it's kissing, the feeling, the hugging,
No kissing, no touching.
the hugging, the feeling. Okay.
Yeah. That was a good part.
Like sort of how it's like just it's not no kissing, no touching, no hugging, no feeling. It's just like a jumble of people just saying at the same time. I wanted that like organized chaos to sort of frame what these people were doing in their lives. Sort of, it's an organized chaos without emotion. Was what I think of it as, and sort of mixing the levels so that the audience could hear like one over there, one behind them. Sort of like, okay, where are these voices coming from? Sort of, they're all around you. I wanted to like solidify that for the audience.
Yeah.
I think another thing that worked really well was that it showed like how pretty much they always had that in their mind. Like if something was happening, like that's what they were always thinking about. Like that was like their go-to thought. So it's like they said it out loud to themselves because it was so important to them.
And it was creepy.
Yes.
Which is something that like Mark played around with, like with all the other tracks that we had as well, right, Mark?
Yeah, trying to make them
Correct me if I'm wrong, but was Government Government Hooker,
Yeah.
the track that was played during the club scene.
Lady
No.
Gaga.
No, that was
That was DDD.
I'm wrong.
no. It's like when you remember when the voices start talking. It's like the really weird ominous like.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, 'cause it's
when
slowed
like the
down
hands go
800
up.
times.
And then I
that's
just slowed that song down 800 times, and they were just so slow and creepy.
Yeah,
I was like,
it was
oh my
great.
God, this
Yeah.
is gross.
But
So I had
that
to do
club
it.
music was good too.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
so
DDD.
structured that I felt it fits so well into
Oh
the
yeah,
world.
that's, yeah. Like
So the
yeah.
world's like, you can have fun with no emotion. Here's a ridiculously structured song
That
that's
was-
constantly going to repeat while you can't touch
like
and
the
dance
Lego
at the
movie.
club.
Yeah, that was actually-
Oh
you know
my
what?
gosh, you're right.
that was like we had a hard time
That took
picking one.
the longest time to find the song. The song for the club took the
Yeah.
longest time.
Yeah,
It was
that
so
was hard.
tedious because basically, when you go to a club, you hear music. It's mainly uplifting music and it's an upbeat kind of tempo. But it's almost impossible to find a song with that offers that feel, but without the emotion in it. So it took us a long
We
time.
wanted that structure. We wanted
Yeah.
that like repetitiveness of the song, but also like we also wanted to conjure like the thought of a club in from the audience's mind. So we're like, okay, what kind of beat does this? And we're just, oh my god. But then we found one.
Because it was supposed to be like a club, but there's no fun at this club. But clubs are fun. So what do you do? Like that's what it turned into.
I think the coolest contrast between the club music and the death music was, I mean, personally, I don't consider club music as music. I consider it as sound. Sound.
Yeah.
Because I think music is a very beautiful thing that is supposed to provoke emotion.
Beautiful bit.
Yes.
Did you hear that drop?
But by having this like very structured sound in comparison to this kind of beautiful
Flowy.
music,
Yeah.
really heightens that contrast
That
between what's going on in this world, which
Yeah.
I'm really understanding.
Yeah.
There's also something to be said about the heartbeat too. That
Oh.
was
The heartbeat.
there were so many different meanings behind that, and I think it worked out so well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when we like started with the heartbeat, it was like originally supposed to go with the like whole ritualistic idea, and that like
Yeah.
it was kind of like the end transition of the whole person being killed, but then coming back to life.
It always,
kind
while
of
we
changed.
were doing the heartbeat, we were doing the play with the heartbeat and practicing, it kind of made me think that the heartbeat always started when a person died or when it was just burning. So it made me kind of think that he was killing us, but he wasn't. He was bringing us back to life by restarting our
Yeah,
heart,
exactly.
which restarted our emotions.
Yeah.
I actually just thought of that.
All right, let's move on to the next one. So in terms of characterization, what did the lab do to get into this world? Do you guys have any specific characterization and movement exercises that you did to prepare?
Yeah.
Oh, there were a lot.
A lot.
There was this one where our lovely TA, Rebecca, made us all walk around as if we were in this
Individuals.
world, this emotionless body in this world, and to see what that would look like, just so we can play with, body language and stance and structure. And then she said, slowly but surely, find a way with another person to get infected, to see what that might look like, and that really, really got our minds working as to, okay, how are we going to play up these emotionless people? How are we going to play up this infection that's very, very clear to the audience that it can be an infection, that something's actually happening, not just someone's like touching someone else's shoulder and making eye contact with them. It needs to be very specific, dramatic choice.
Yeah, it was really effective because it got us right into that mindset and kind of like we were able to sort of create this world within ourselves as well by being able to sort of like for the first time experience it with each other and like just be able to feel what it felt like ourselves, and then from that we could use that and like project it onto this world and how like the audience would see it.
I feel like the even more important part of that activity though is like before we started the walking was we were like told to just kind of stand, have our own space, and we had to close our eyes, like put our head like down and just stand like in the way we would feel like if we were nervous or if we were angry, if we were happy.